bafethu
ile njenganiselo katika isikoleni.
Good morning, honorable members. May we please take this moment for an opportunity for a silent prayer and meditation. Thank you, honorable members. We will move on to item 2 in the order paper, which is obituaries. Honorable members, before we proceed with the business of the day, we pause to pay tribute to those who have departed. We celebrate the lives and acknowledge the contributions and mourn the loss. In doing so, we stand united with our families and communities who grieve in this time. Today, we honor the memory of individuals from various walks of life, including Ms. Cheryl Sisoka, a devoted and disciplined servant of the African National Congress, who rose steadily through the ranks of the organization. She served the ANC with distinction at both zonal and regional levels, therefore earning the trust and respect of many. Her commitment and leadership led her to appointment as regional coordinator of the ANC in eThekwini, a responsibility she carried with honor, humility, and an unwavering dedication to her organization. At the time of her passing, Comrade Cheryl was serving as a councillor in eThekwini municipality, where she held the position of the Whip of Community Services Committee. That her duties with diligence and professionalism, and a deep sense of accountability to the people she served. Her passion for community upliftment and her tireless work ethic remains an inspiration to all those who worked alongside her. Her passing leaves a profound void in the movement, the municipality, and the communities she faithfully served. Ms. Thandi Wimpanza was a dedicated activist, respected veteran, and a pillar of strength within the liberation movement, a lifelong advocate for justice and community empowerment. She embodied the values of discipline, humility, and service. She was the beloved wife of the late stalwart Comrade General Gizenga Mpanza, with whom she shared a legacy of struggle, commitment, and the service to the people of South Africa. Throughout her life, Ms. Mpanza remained deeply rooted in the advancement of her community and the broader ideals of the ANC, offering guidance, wisdom, and steadfast leadership of the generations of activists. Her passing marks the loss of a courageous woman whose life was defined by sacrifice, compassion, and an unwavering dedication of the movement and her community. We also then pay tribute to the victims of gender-based violence, femicide, and hate crimes, flood victims, public servants, traditional leaders of our province and the country at large, artisans and veterans of the entertainment industry, and all those who lost their lives tragically in the road accidents during and the recent weeks in our province. Honorable members, can we now observe a moment of silence for all those who have gone ahead of us? May their souls rest in eternal peace. Amen. Honorable members, we then move on to item 3, which is the announcement of the speakers. Honorable members, today we have a voting announcement on party voting during the sitting. We're reminded that the sitting will be conducted in the terms of the standing rules. The party voting rule 2884 of the rules state that the presiding officer or chairperson must, before at any start of the discussion on the matter, expressly inform members if a party vote will be taken. In line with the above, I can confirm that the voting will take place on the KwaZulu-Natal Adjustments Appropriation Bill 2025. Bear in mind that a party vote is a collective vote on behalf of all members of the party present at this virtual sitting, up to the total membership of that party in the sitting. I will, however, allow opportunity for any individual member to vote differently from his or her party or to abstain if any member wishes to do so. We will now proceed, honorable members, with the order of the day. Honorable members, there is an absence of MK party members and one EFF member. I wish to inform the House of the following: that there was a disruption following the special sitting held on the 15th of December 2025. The Speaker has invoked Rule 61 of the Standing Rules of KwaZulu-Natal Legislature. She proceeded to suspend members as per Rule 63. The period of suspension as per Rule 66 is for the period of 5 working days. effective from the 12th to the 16th of January 2025. Accordingly, the effective members are prohibited from participating in any proceedings of the legislature during their time of suspension. The whips, the party leaders, and the affected members were notified of this suspension. Honorable members, we then move on to item 4, which is the announcements or reports by the Premier. I'd like to give an opportunity to the Premier for any opportunities of announcements. Thank you, Honorable Premier. Honorable Premier. If the Honorable Premier is not online, I'd like to ask any member of the executive to please table any reports from the Premier's office. I'm not sure if I'm audible, honorable members.
Good morning, Honourable Speaker and honourable members. I'm not sure if the Leader of Government Business is on, which means I'm the next, so I'm not aware of any announcements at this point. Thank you very much, Speaker. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Honourable MEC Francis Rogers. We will then move on to item 5 in the order paper, which is the tabling of reports and papers. 5.1 is the Standing Committee on Oversight, a report of the Standing Committee on Oversight and the consideration of the 2025-2026 mid-year budget adjustments and 2026-2027 budget allocation of the legislature. 5.2, Portfolio Committee on Finance, which is a report on the Portfolio Committee on Finance and the KwaZulu-Natal Adjustments Appropriation Bill 2025. Not sure any honourable members or chairpersons. Is there any other reports that would be tabled at this time? I see that there is none. We will move on, honourable members, to item 6 in the order paper, which is formal motions and notices by the Chief Whip. I'd like to give the opportunity to the Honourable Gwala to present any motions or notices. Thank you. Honourable Gwala.
Honourable Speaker, the Premier of the Province of KwaZulu-Natal, MECs and all honourable members present, there is no formal motions or notices in the office of the Chief Whip. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Honourable Gwala. I forgot to see, can we please see your face?
I couldn't
Honourable members, we will then move on to item 7 on the order paper, which is the debate and voting of the KwaZulu-Natal Adjustments Appropriation Bill 2025. I will then allow the reports by the Chairperson of Finance and the Adjustments Appropriation Bill, Honourable M.E. Lungwana, for 10 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Honourable Deputy Speaker, Honourable Premier, Leader of Government Business.
Honourable Lungwana, may you please put on your camera?
You can't see me, Honourable Speaker.
I can't see you on my device.
We can see him, Speaker.
Oh, I'm told that device. You may continue.
Oh, okay. If I can continue. My apologies. Of course, Honourable Deputy Speaker, Honourable Speaker, the Honourable Premier, Leader of Government Business, Honourable MECs, and Honourable members, good morning. The KwaZulu-Natal Appropriation Bill 2025 was tabled by to the House by the MEC for Finance, on the 11th of December and referred in terms of rules of the finance to the Finance Portfolio Committee for consideration, and therefore report to this House. In accordance with Rule 261A of the Standing Rules, the Provincial Treasury briefed the committee on the bill on the 11th of December 2025. Of course, the bill seeks to effect the adjustment to the appropriation of the money from the government. And the committee took the following steps to enable the effective public consultation of the bill. A copy of the bill was placed on the legislature website on the 15th of December, together with the notice calling for any written submission by the public on the bill, not later than 12 yesterday, January 2026. The notices of the bill were also published in the newspapers, in the Ilanga and the Mercury. As well, these notices were calling for the submission by the public. Two public hearings were scheduled for the 13th and the 14th of January at the Belgrade Community Center in Upongolo, as well as Johnny Makatini in Indwedwe, respectively. The briefing on the bill by the Provincial Treasury, as I have mentioned, that happened on the 11th, and the public hearings themselves were streamed live in the legislature Facebook page, as well as the YouTube channel of the legislature. In terms of the public hearing, the above hearings that happened in Upongolo on the bill was held on the 13th of January. Copies of the bill as well as the presentation were handed to the public that were attended. Over 175 members of the public attended the public hearing. Of course, the presentation was made on the bill, which was done in isiZulu because the majority of people which were in attendance welcomed the bill, and some clearly indicated their support of the bill in the meeting. There were a number of questions that were asked, which were also answered during the public hearing. The public hearing that happened in Johnny Makatini Hall in the municipality, the public hearing was scheduled to be held on the 14th, which was yesterday. The public hearing also had a very strong turnout of over 174 members of the public, which was quite good in terms of the attendance. Shortly after the public hearing began, but prior to any presentation, some attendees, which were very few, raised objection to the continuing in the absence of the opposition committee members, particularly the MK members who were suspended. They raised their objection that the meeting must not continue. They questioned both their absence members of the MKP, members of the legislature, as well as the quorum of the committee. We explained of the public hearing, but there were persistent interjection by a certain individual, which led to the adjournment, short adjournment of the committee by the committee of the hearing. After consultation, the committee was of the view that while it wanted the hearing to continue, members of the public should be allowed to indicate whether they wish to continue with the hearing. I must indicate, honorable members, that very few members of the public, that out of the over 175 members that wanted the meeting not to continue, the majority, over 165, wanted the meeting to continue. Despite of the security concern, as we had consulted with the police, and they indicated that at that point in time, they do not have enough manpower and capacity to deal with any unruly behavior. We therefore decided to close that meeting. It was, of course, not cancelled because of the MK, but because of our decision committee that were in attendance. Despite the public hearing immediately being suspended due to the continued objecting, the committee was advised by our legal advisor that there was sufficient public consultation on the bill, as evident by paragraph 3 to 65 of section 118 of the Constitution. In conclusion, Honorable Speaker, on the evening on the 14th of January, the committee met to consider the bill, having considered the bill and accompanying papers, the reports and comments received after due deliberation. We comment, Honorable Deputy Speaker, that the House vote in support of this bill. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Honorable Lungwana. The next member to report by the chairperson of Stakov on the KZN Adjustment Appropriation Bill 2025, Vote 2, is Honorable L.J. de Klerk for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. The Stakov report provides an overview for the consideration of the 25-26 mid-year budget adjustments and the 26-27 budget allocation for the KZN Legislature as considered by the Standing Committee on Oversight. It highlights the discussions and the request of funding, additional allocation, budget adjustments, environments, shifts and shortfall in the 26-27 budget. The MEC for Provincial Treasury, Honourable Rogers, tabled on the 11th of December 2025 the Adjustment Appropriation Bill that was responding to the additional funding received from Treasury. The bill was duly referred to the Speaker to the Portfolio Committee on Finance and the Stakov Committee for processing. A meeting to consider the bill insofar as it relates to Vote 2 was held by the committee on the 14th of January 2026. This is important to reflect that the consideration of the content of the bill was made possible through an approved process whereby the Speaker, on request by the MEC, acceded to the briefing and consideration of the bill taking place prior the formality of tabling the bill. The 25-26 mid-year request funding, the committee was advised that the KZN Legislature requested 112.9 million from Provincial Treasury to address the in-year spending pressures. The breakdown of the request is as follows. 1, compensation of employees, 41.3 million to fund salary increases determined by the Legislative Sector Bargaining Council and restore funds for vacant posts affected by budget cuts. Goods and services, 17.6 million to fund various legislator programs, including LGBTQA+, Sex Worker Young Women Symposium, CPA, Africa and International, NCL, and SOCAT. Members and employees cover and members' special needs, infrastructure projects, 53 million to replace obsolete and dysfunctional or malfunctional infrastructure hindering legislator operations. The 25-26 additional allocation, baseline allocation, 850.796 million, increase in allocation, 40.067 million, comprising of 20 million from unspent operational funds returned in line with the FAMPLA Section 23(1), 1.967 million from own revenue over-collecting returned in terms of FAMPLA 23(1) also. The 17.787 million from Treasury allocation for 25-26 cost of employees increase. It was noted that despite the request of 105.6 million, only 17.8 million was granted to fund employees' salaries. Increasement, leaving 87.8 million unapproved. Mid-year budget adjustments. It was noted that as per Section 22(3) of FAPLA, environments were within 8 limit and approved by the accounting officer and executive authority. No further approval by Stack-Off or the House was therefore required. Environments, 2.98 million reprioritized from Program 2 to Program 1 to fund CPA costs and address insurance cover shortfalls. Additional environments processed to address spending pressures at the line item level within the programs. The shifts of the budget were reported as follows: 1.34 million shifted from Program 2, public participation, to Program 1, supply chain management, to fund KZN own stage trailers for public engagements. 2.4 million moved from payments for capital assets to software, to goods and services, to fund Microsoft licenses. 1.3 million shifted from security and facilities to the ICT division in Program 1 to align the budget with updated ICT responsibilities, including copiers and telephone systems. It is noted that the original purpose of the funds was not affected. Thank you.
Honourable de Klerk, thank you so much. Your time is up.
The
Honourable
committee
members,
supports the bill.
thank you so much, Honourable de Klerk. We move on to the next honourable members. Honourable member, it was the MKP for 24 minutes, but may we please note that we received no submissions of speakers list. Therefore, the MKP will not be participating in this debate. We will then move on to the next honourable member from the IFP for 6 minutes, Honourable A.C. Biela.
Thank you very much, Honourable Deputy Speaker. With your permission to save on bandwidth, may I have the authorization to switch off my camera?
No problem, Honourable Biela.
Thank you. Greetings, Honourable Deputy Speaker, once again, the Honourable Speaker, the Honourable Chief Whip, Honourable MECs, Honourable Members. Deputy Speaker, it's always encouraging to participate in such debates. And at the outset, I want to be out of order and begin by expressing my sincere appreciation for the strength and resilience which has been shown by one of the Honourable MECs, the Honourable Shinga, for her resilience during this threatening political moment where she has chosen to prioritize the people of KwaZulu-Natal and the stability of the government of provincial unity. Honourable Speaker, it's encouraging to participate in a debate where government speaks with one voice and where the work before us reflects careful planning and responsible leadership. The 2025-2026 adjustment estimates before this House is a clear demonstration that our government is attentive, responsive, and committed to protecting service delivery while navigating a very constrained fiscal environment. This adjustment process is about responding to real conditions on the ground and ensuring that resources follow the ideal needs of our people. Section 31 of the PFMA provides for this flexibility, and the province has used it in a responsible manner within the prescripts of law. One of the key highlights of this adjustment estimates is the additional funding received from National Treasury, which includes funding to address budget pressures, increased allocations to conditional grants, disaster relief funding, and approved rollovers. Such additional support will strengthen the capacity of the province to continue delivering services to our people, especially in education, health, transport, and infrastructure. Honourable members, I want to focus briefly on the issue of conditional grants. The province recorded audited underspending of around 190 million in the previous financial year against a conditional grant budget of about 25 billion. While National Treasury has also approved a rollover, and the figures which may appear in small percentages, and we must remember matters. For this reason, I want to gently encourage all departments to continue strengthening planning and implementation so that allocated funds are spent fully and effectively. Strong spending performance strengthens our credibility when we engage National Treasury for future allocations. At the same time, we acknowledge that spending around 99.2% of conventional grants is a very difficult year and an achievement. It reflects improved financial management and growing discipline across departments. Honourable Speaker, I wish to commend National Treasury and the Government of National Unity for the allocation of monies towards the District Health Program grant. This allocation was made under Section 16 of the PFMA following the sudden withdrawal of the USAID funding. The situation reminds us of an important principle that the IFP has always stood for, Ubuntu Bot. We appreciate partnerships, but we must never build our system. We must never build our systems on dependency. What is commendable is that the government has responded decisively without any panic. Instead, there was leadership planning and swift intervention to protect health services in the most vulnerable in our society. Honourable Speaker, the IFP supports the bill. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Honourable Biela. Honourable members, we move on to the African National Congress for 4 minutes. Honourable M.D. Ndebele.
Honourable Deputy Speaker, honourable members of the legislature, we consider KwaZulu-Natal 2025-2026 Adjustment Appropriation Bill at a time of severe global and domestic uncertainty. At a time where at national level, the African National Congress led by President Cyril Ramaphosa continue to provide strategic leadership to stabilize these particular onslaughts directed against our country and our people. The national intervention in directing and stabilizing the economy had positive and ripple effect to the economy of KwaZulu-Natal. Honourable Deputy Speaker, this stabilization part is echoed in the ANC manifesto, which commits the state into a productive investment, job creation in sectors that matters the most, so that we ensure that we build a developmental state. Economic recovery from our perspective must translate into improvement of the life of our people, especially the working class, the rural poor, and our township economy. The 2025-2026 adjustment budget must be understood just within this concept. It must be understood within the escalating tension and unilateral trade measures, including the USA imposing tariffs that have distracted trade and weakened financing across the global south. The province of KwaZulu-Natal is deeply integrated into the global world due to its integrated logistic, manufacturing, agriculture, and tourism value chain. Experiencing this pressure direct, it is in this context that we, as the African National Congress, appreciate this particular allocation, which comes with the tightness in our budget. It is therefore important, Honourable Deputy Speaker, that we appreciate the 30.6 billion in addition funding that is provided through this adjustment budget. This includes 2 billion in additional provincial equitable share and 984.8 million in disaster relief, 442.4 million in additional grants. Honourable Deputy Speaker, the bill correctly prioritizes healthy and ANC-led provincial department. An additional of 1.3 billion, together with 95.18 million in emergency funding, will strengthen district health program and ensure the uninterrupted healthcare services for vulnerable community. This affirms the ANC position that access to healthcare is a fundamental human right. On education, Honourable Deputy Speaker, our province, as it is now a known fact, it is now #1 in the country, having scored 90.6% in matric pass rate under the able and capable leadership of Honourable Sipho Muka. This adjustment budget reinforces this particular victory by setting aside 640.9 million in additional funding, alongside 347.2 million for early childhood development. This additional funding, while it will not assist the challenges engulfing Department of Education, but will ensure that they protect educators, strengthen scholar maintenance, and ensure securing of learner material. This is what an ideal government will do. On transport, Honorable Deputy Speaker.
Honorable Ndebele, your time is up. Thank you so much.
Thank you. That's sustainable.
Honorable members, the next honorable member for 8 minutes from the DA, Honorable TJ Brautiseth.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. Honourable members, today I speak in support of the 2025-26 Adjustments Appropriation Bill. While budgets can often sound complex and technical, at its heart this bill is about something very simple: how government adjusts its spending during the year to respond to the real challenges faced by our people. The adjustment budget does not replace the main budget passed earlier this year. Instead, it allows government to respond to unexpected events, correct earlier estimates, and direct money where it is most urgently needed. During the year, circumstances change. Costs rise, disasters occur. Some projects face delays, while in other areas, the need grows faster than expected. In terms of the Public Finance Management Act, provinces are allowed to adjust their budgets under specific conditions, including emergencies, unforeseen expenditure, rollovers of unspent funds, and shifts between programs. For KZN, these adjustments are particularly important because our provinces face severe weather disasters, pressure in health and education, and rising service delivery demands. But before I proceed, Honourable Deputy Speaker, I must commend the MEC for Finance, Francois Rogers, for his steady hand on the wheel of this province's finances. His stewardship has ensured that KwaZulu-Natal remains financially stable despite immense pressures. It is because of this sound financial governance that we are able to secure additional assistance from National Treasury and channel resources to critical areas like health, education, and disaster recovery. This is leadership that prioritizes people over politics. Now, honourable members, contrast this with the reckless behaviour we witnessed on 15 December, when the MK party attempted to collapse the government of provincial unity. These Zuma-inspired chaos tactics were not just political theatre. They were a direct threat to the financial stability of KwaZulu-Natal. Had they succeeded, the province would have been plunged into uncertainty, jeopardizing the very adjustments we are debating today. Indeed, just yesterday, when the Finance Portfolio Committee visited the Ndwedwe community to engage on this bill, the MK party deployed their cadres to disrupt a crucial opportunity for public participation. This violent and disruptive behavior robbed our people of input into progress we are making in rebuilding schools, funding clinics, and restoring infrastructure. But despite their loud protests, the MK party seldom offers viable alternative spending plans. Their approach exposes a deep financial illiteracy and an inability to govern responsibly. Governance is not about slogans. It is about making hard choices, balancing budgets, and ensuring accountability. On these measures, the MK fails repeatedly. Honourable members, one of the most significant aspects of this adjustments budget is that KZN receives an additional 3.6 billion rand in additional funding from National Treasury. This includes 2 billion added to the provincial equitable share to help departments manage budget pressures, 984 million for disaster relief and rebuilding, and 442 million in additions to conditional grants. In addition, 189 million in approved rollover of unspent conditional grants. This additional funding is not abstract. It translates directly into services that touches people's lives every day. Honourable Speaker, we must always consider the real-world impact of these appropriations. Education receives a major share of the adjustments. Additional funding of 640 million was allocated to address long-standing budget pressures in schools. What this means on the ground is simple. Schools are better able to pay teachers and support staff. Funds are redirected towards maintenance and repairs, ensuring that classrooms damaged by storms or flooding can be restored. Money is shifted to ensure learners receive learning and teaching support materials such as books, equipment, and digital tools. Importantly, funding for early childhood development was increased, so the subsidies per child rose from 17 Rand to 24 Rand per day for centre-based programs. For parents and caregivers, this means better nutrition, safer facilities, and improved early learning for younger children. When we consider the impact of health, this adjustments budget means an additional 1.39 billion is directed towards the Department of Health to stabilize service. In practical terms, this funding supports payment of nurses, doctors, and critical frontline staff, maintenance of medical equipment rather than costly new purchases, continued operation of district hospitals and clinics, especially in rural areas. An additional 95.2 million was allocated after the withdrawal of PEPFAR funding, thus enabling and ensuring that HIV and related services continue without interruption. For ordinary residents, this means shorter disruptions at clinics, functioning equipment, and protected access to life-saving services. Honourable members, many families in KZN are still recovering from floods, storms, and severe weather. Nearly 985 million is allocated specifically for disaster relief and reconstruction. These funds will repair damaged schools, restore health facilities, rebuild provincial roads, especially in rural and flood-affected areas, support public infrastructure, ensuring access to services that resume quickly. For residents, this means safer roads, reopened schools, and communities being restored rather than abandoned. In terms of roads and transport, the bill paves the way for safer travel and learner transport. Transport adjustments include 300 million redirected to support learner transport. If for families in rural and township areas, this means children are less likely to walk long and unsafe distances. Attendance improves, especially during bad weather. Parents experience reduced financial and safety burdens. Funding was also directed toward road maintenance, improving access for taxis, buses, emergency service, and everyday commuters. In human settlements, funds were shifted from delayed or stalled projects to areas where spending pressures were the highest. This allows government to pay outstanding invoices on completed housing projects, align subsidies with new higher national housing standards, restart delayed housing developments once procurement issues are resolved. For residents waiting for houses, this improves the chances that projects are completed rather than remaining empty promises. In conclusion, Speaker, this bill is not just about numbers. It is about responding to real needs, real emergencies, and real people. It reflects a province trying to balance limited resources with overwhelming demand while keeping service delivery at the center of decision-making. I therefore urge this House to support the 2025-26 Adjustments Appropriation Bill in the interest of the people of KwaZulu-Natal and the continuing recovery, stability, and development of our province. I thank you.
Thank you so much, Honourable Bautiseth. Honourable members, the next honourable member from the EFF for 4 minutes is Honourable M.W. Twala. Honourable members, can we please take note that the EFF has sent an apology for Honourable Twala, so therefore he will not be participating in the debate. We will then move on, honourable members, to Honourable Shinga from the NFP for 4 minutes.
Angibingelele somlomo ohloniphekile. Mhlonishwa Tembe, ngibingelele uChief Whip, ngibingelele the Honorable Premier and members of the Executive and honorable members in the House. Thank you for the opportunity to debate on the adjustments appropriation bill today. The authority, Honorable Speaker, is found in Section 31 of the Public Finance Management Act, which permits adjustments when circumstances demand intervention in year. It is further framed by Section 215 of the Constitution, which requires budgets to promote transparency, accountability, and the effective use of resources. The question before us today, therefore, should be, do these adjustments respond to real needs? Honorable Speaker, the NFP notes that this bill sorry, I apologize. Can I switch my gadget off, Speaker?
I was just going to
Camera,
suggest.
sorry.
Yeah, I was just
Yes,
going to
sorry.
suggest it.
Okay.
You may continue.
Thank you very much. Honorable Speaker, the NFP notes that this bill has complied with Section 1181A of the Constitution, which obliges this legislature to facilitate public involvement. Public hearings were held in areas of Pongola and were with strong attendance, we note, and that the bill was translated in isiZulu, ensuring accessibility. Concerns raised by the communities were recorded and were not ignored. These matters, because the budget that is not heard by the people eventually fails the people. Honorable Speaker, the issues raised during the public hearings were not abstract. Amongst them, weak service delivery, slow filling of critical posts, damage to school infrastructure due to disasters, inadequate oversight in health and education, workers not being being paid on time in projects. These are precisely the pressure points an adjustment bill is made to confront. We do maintain that if a budget is not progressive, the budget is not progressive because of its size, but because of its impact. We welcome the adjustment that seeks to stabilize departments under strain, particularly education, health and social development. Education infrastructure damaged by flood and disasters cannot wait for the next financial year. Health systems burdened by vacancies and medical legal claims. Legal exposure cannot be corrected by talks only. However, these adjustments are not excuses for weak planning. They are interventions and they must be treated as such. We emphasize the duty imposed by Section 195 of the Constitution, which requires the public administration to be accountable, efficient, and development-oriented. Departments receiving additional allocations must be subjected to clear performance indicators, strengthened oversight by committees, and consequence management where funds do not translate into delivery. An adjustment bill that corrects figures but not behavior, simply postpones
Honorable
failure.
Shinga,
Speaker,
thank you so much. Your time is up.
thank you, Somlo.
Ngiyabonga. Honorable members, the next honorable member for 4 minutes from the ANC is Honorable MC Fraser. Honorable Fraser, you are muted. May you unmute? Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Can I also please switch off the camera, Honorable Speaker?
The reason, Honorable Fraser?
I think I have network challenges, but we may try and see. Thank you.
Oh, no problem, Honorable Fraser. Let's try and see.
Thank you. Honorable Deputy Speaker, Honorable Premier and members of the Executive Council, Honorable members, this debate goes to the very heart of governance, to whether this legislature understands the weight of responsibility entrusted to it by the people of KwaZulu-Natal in the 2024 elections, and whether we are prepared to act with maturity, discipline, and constitutional respect. Honorable members, the KwaZulu-Natal Adjustment Appropriation Bill remains a constitutional instrument provided for in law to enable government to respond to changing economic conditions, social pressures, and unforeseen shocks. It exists because reality does not wait for political comfort. When disasters strike, when costs escalate, and when pressures in health and education intensify, government must adjust or it fails its people. The ANC therefore supports this 2025 bill as it responds directly to sustained pressures in the social sector, particularly health and education, which remain the backbone for our developmental stage. These allocations act as protective shields, safeguarding working class families, rural communities, women, children, and the elderly at a time when fiscal consolidation, population growth, and external shocks continue to squeeze the system. Honorable Speaker, it is important to place on record that the ANC-led Finance Portfolio Committee executed its oversight mandate with diligence, seriousness, and constitutional fidelity. In line with Section 118 of the Constitution, the committee report confirms that the bill was generally welcomed by the public, with submissions focusing on improving service delivery rather than opposing adjustments themselves. Honorable Speaker, in the midst of such hard work and dedication, it is deeply unfortunate that there are those who believe that destabilizing this legislature, threatening chaos, or holding budget hostage will advance their narrow agendas, soothe their wounded egos, or elevate one man and his family above the collective interest of society. To them, we say plainly that approach is self-centered, reckless, and dangerous. Here we are dealing with budgets that fund lives, budgets that fund service, and budget that fund stability. To toy with them for political leverage is to gamble with the well-being of millions. The people of KwaZulu-Natal did not vote for instability. They did not vote for chaos. They voted for cooperation, shared responsibility, and political maturity, precisely because no single party was granted an outright majority. That mandate gave rise to the government of provincial unit, an expression of the people's will to prevent fragmentation and protect stability. History teaches us that unity in moments of deep contradiction is not weakness. It is revolutionary logic applied to concrete conditions. Honorable Speaker, the ANC will not be dragged into politics of chaos. We will not play chess with people's lives. At the same time as the ANC will raise a principled concern about the long-term impact of austerity measures and sustained budget cuts, which continue to constrain growth and service delivery, particularly in rural provinces like KwaZulu-Natal. Fiscal discipline must never become an excuse for permanent underdevelopment. A developmental state requires
Honorable
resources,
Fraser.
investment, and growth-oriented policy. We support the bill as the ANC. Thank you very much, Honorable Deputy Speaker.
Thank you so much, Honorable Fraser. It seemed like all went well. Honorable members, the next honorable member, the last honorable member to debate for 6 minutes from the IFP is Honorable ACBL.
Thank you very much, Honorable Deputy Speaker. I had already shown my face and the reasons for requesting to switch off my camera. Continuing from my previous, from my inputs earlier on, Honorable Deputy Speaker, I want to indicate that under the leadership of our Honorable Premier Ntuli, KwaZulu-Natal has shown that focused governance and coordination can deliver results. And we have seen that recently in the outcome of the matric results of 2025. We commend the Premier, Honorable Ntuli, for providing clear strategic direction, ensuring departments work as one, and keeping learner outcomes at the center of government priorities. These matric results reflect collective effort, and the Premier's steady leadership deserves recognition. Honorable Deputy Speaker, another significant aspect of this adjustment estimate is the allocation of disaster relief funding. And this is particularly important given that KwaZulu-Natal has endured repeated weather-related disasters and the damage to infrastructure has been severe. This funding is not merely a budget line, but it's a practical response to lived hardships, and it must translate into visible recovery in every affected community. We must appreciate the funds to support the rehabilitation of schools, hospitals, roads, agriculture infrastructure, and public buildings across the province. Put simply, it must restore dignity and functionality. Classrooms must reopen so that learning is uninterrupted. Clinics must be repaired so that healthcare is accessible. Roads must be reinstated so that the local economies can move, trade, and grow. The spread of the allocation across education, health, transport, agriculture, and public works reflects an integrated response, and it must be managed as such with clear coordination and clear accountability. Through these interventions, Honourable Deputy Speaker, the Government of Provincial Unity, under the leadership of our Premier, Honourable Taminduli, together with our political partners, is demonstrating that the state can respond to crises with decisiveness. But Honourable Deputy Speaker, we must also say this plainly. Disaster funding is highly vulnerable to poor project preparation, procurement delays, and weak oversight. We therefore expect disciplined implementation, clean procurement, and regular reporting so that the people can see the results, not only the allocations. The province has also managed its cash resources responsibly, and for this we must appreciate the MEC for Finance, MEC Rogers. From prior year underspending, the contingency reserve over collected on revenue and funds returned to the provincial bank account, an amount totaling around 900 million was identified. After funding, conditional grant rollovers was allocated to priority. After funding, conditional grant rollovers, around 700 million was allocated to priority pressures. This is prudent financial stewardship. It shows that government can distinguish between what is desirable and what is affordable, and then acts responsibly within that reality. It is also instructive that departments and public entities requested over 8 billion, yet the Executive Council prioritized within the limits of available resources. That is what leadership looks like under constraints. It means choices were made, and those choices must now be defended through performance, measurable outputs, and value for money. Honourable Deputy Speaker, the suspension of funds included in this adjustment estimates must be understood in context. These are not a sign of collapse, but they're an acknowledgement of implementation realities, including procurement delays and slow spending. By spending funds and reallocating them appropriately, government reduces the risk of waste and ensures funds are available when projects are genuinely ready to proceed. However, we must be careful not to normalize slow service delivery. The correct lesson is that planning and project readiness must improve so that suspension becomes the exception, not the routine. In closing, Honourable Speaker, the IFP supports the adjustment estimate. We encourage all departments to strengthen planning, to improve implementation, and deepen value for money. Above all, let us keep our focus where it belongs, on the people we serve, because every decision taken in this House must be felt as an improvement in the daily lives of our communities. Thank you very much, Honourable Deputy Speaker.
Thank you so much, Honourable Biela. Honourable members, that brings us to the end of the debate. I would like to welcome response from the MEC of Finance, Honourable F.A. Rogers, for 15 minutes.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, and thank you to all of the members for what I must say is for once, a sober and constructive debate when it comes to finance. Madam Speaker, before I respond to some parts of the debate, it would be amiss of me not to reflect on what transpired on the 15th and the anarchy that was displayed in the House, and pass on what I believe should be the congratulations or the thanks, the heartfelt thanks of every law-abiding citizen in the province of KwaZulu-Natal to the Speaker, to Speaker Nte Boyce. I think she showed absolute resilience in the face of anarchy. And I think we must, as a collective, be extremely proud that we are led by a woman of that caliber. Having said that, I think the staff of the legislature, under the leadership of the Secretary, I think they also displayed immense emotional stability And also just finally to all the GPU members in the benches. I think once again, it just shows what it is that a government of provincial unity, when it has a collective purpose, what it can achieve vis-a-vis what we're now seeing playing out in engagements with communities. Listening to the chair of the Finance Committee and Honourable Browderseth, we in total, Madam Speaker, we're talking about an additional 4.3 million rand that we're adding to our provincial fiscus between the national allocation and between the reprioritization in the province. That's an enormous amount of money. So on the one hand, if you want to complain about poor service delivery, you want to complain about departments that aren't able to survive, yet you don't want to pass or accept additional money. I think the voters are starting to see that. But nevertheless, let's stick to the debate. Madam Speaker, I've made it very clear since I was appointed MEC of Finance by the Premier that my focus in this term will be to protect our frontline departments, education, health, and social development. Those, I believe, are our critical departments. And a lot of what many of the members have said today makes absolute sense. We're in a constrained fiscal environment. Demand currently way exceeds what we have available to deliver. So we've got to prioritize, not the want to haves and the good to haves, but the what's absolutely needed. And if you look at this adjustment budget, it addresses exactly that. And if you go through it and you look at education, for example, education gets the 640 million rand additional funding. It also gets an additional 347 million for ECD. It also gets an additional 432 million for infrastructure, for the infrastructure grant, and it gets the LPID grant of 3.3 million. Now, anybody that says this is a government that doesn't care is either doesn't understand finance and numbers, or is living on Neptune, on another planet, because there it is. There is the allocation that we are prioritizing for the Department of Education. And health likewise, 1.4 billion rand that's being allocated to spending pressures in the Department of Health. The District Health Program grant, 95 million rand. And if you look at the health facility revitalization grant, just short of 200 million rand. This backs up exactly what this government of provincial unity is all about, and that's protecting our frontline departments. Now, how are we doing that, Speaker? We're doing it simply through, we've now adopted our fiscal recovery plan. All MECs, the Premier is now going to be the champion of this financial recovery plan, and it has a purpose. That purpose is to realign, refocus our areas on critical service delivery areas, frontline departments. That's what we have to protect. If we can get that concluded by the end of the term, then we would have succeeded in our task. And I've also said to the Finance Committee, and I've said this publicly, Madam Speaker, it means we can't be doing business as usual. We can't be, our budget methodology has to change. We've got to look at ways to protect frontline departments, and what's left then gets spread amongst the other departments. Not an easy task and not a comfortable task, but it's a task we have to undertake nevertheless. I'm also delighted to say, Madam Speaker, that at yesterday's cabinet meeting, the provincial dashboard is now available. It's been distributed to heads of department. MECs will also have access, and I'm hoping that very soon chairpersons of committees will also have access. And in that, it's going to answer some of the questions that Honourable Biela asked about the spending of conditional grants. That simple dashboard will give committees and chairpersons, MECs, a snapshot of what is being spent, what is not being spent, the accruals, conditional grants, whether all of those capital projects, whether all of those targets are being met. You won't have to go through pages and pages of reports. It's literally a one-page dashboard that'll give you that information. This is the way that the legislature can assist the provincial executive in our financial recovery plan. So I'm delighted that this is available. Our e-procurement, our electronic procurement system, we're 2 months away from launching that, and that's also going to assist us to make sure that we get value for money, and that the money we save in the areas where we're currently losing money, we can refocus them into the areas of need. Madam Speaker, I think in the main, the questions from the members were more suggestions. I've certainly made notes of it, and we take heed as Treasury. And again, I always say that when I engage with departments, Madam Speaker, this Treasury has an open door policy. We are here to assist. We're not here to dictate. We work as a collective. We don't work in silos. And at the end of the day, we're one government. We're not 8 different departments in one government. Just to conclude, to thank the chairperson of the finance portfolio for the continued support, also the chairperson of STACOF, and to all of those committee members. It's always a pleasure to work with you. You understand the dynamics of what this province is facing, but I firmly believe we've turned the corner, we're on the right track, and collectively we will achieve our objective. Thank you very much, Madam Speaker.
Thank you so much to the MEC of Finance for the response. Honourable members, we've now come to the end of the debate, and we will proceed with the voting of the KZN Adjustment Appropriation Bill 2025. In terms of the standing rules 241(2), after the debate is concluded, the question must be put. The program within a vote, or where a vote comprises more than one program, on all the programs within the vote combined, and thereafter on the vote itself. 2, the schedule and schedule or schedules, and 3, the adjustment appropriation bill itself in that order. Honourable members, you need to be reminded of Rule 296(2)(e) of the standing rules. The rules pertaining to divisions do not apply to virtual sittings. This includes hybrid sittings wherein part of the House is connected virtually. There will therefore not be any divisions. There will be allowances for recording of opposition on any program or vote. There will also be allowance for a declaration at the end of the debate. Honourable members, the Office of the Speaker has not received any request for recording of opposition in the terms of 921 from any party, and there is no deadline for this request. Parties are still free to do so. In accordance to past practice, honourable members, all recordings of opposition will be dealt with immediately after the question has been put on the particular program within the votes in which party wishes to record its opposition. Honourable members, the Office of the Speaker has also not received any request from any party for a declaration of votes, i.e. to address the House for 3 minutes after the question on the entire bill has been put. There is no deadline for submission of such request. As customary, honourable members, I will, after the bill has been voted on, permit all parties to make a declaration of votes in terms of Rule 91(2) if they wish to do so. I will start with the IFP, then the ANC, then the DA, then the EFF, then the NFP, and then the MK in that order. Honourable members, the voting procedure, I will therefore go vote by vote and program by program without reading any of the figures. Once the House has been voted on each program, I will put the vote as a whole to the House for voting. As I indicated prior to the start of the debate, I will go party by party to obtain the votes and therefore check if there's any member who wishes to record an individual vote. Honourable members, can I remind the members of the provision of the Constitution of the Standing Rules relating to the vote of the members that presides. Section 1122A provides that the member presiding in the meeting of a provincial legislature has no deliberative vote, but must cast a deciding vote when there's an equal number of votes in either side of question. This is echoed in Rule 85(2)A of our standing rules. I will therefore ask the Sergeant-at-Arms to ring the bells for 3 minutes. I request that party whips must ensure that their members do not leave this online platform. And then I will ask the Sergeant-at-Arms to please ring for 3 minutes. Thank you, honourable members. The bell has rung. May I then please ask the Chief Whip to confirm how many of your members are on the virtual platform? Chief Whip.
Honorable Madam Speaker, I can confirm that. Let me open the what to call the. Oh yeah, thank you. Honorable Madam Speaker, I can confirm that we have 40 members on the platform, excluding the presiding officer. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Honourable Chief Whip. There is no leader of the largest minority party present online. Therefore, I will ask the Acting Secretary just to confirm those numbers on our behalf.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Madam Speaker. I confirm that we have got 40 members, excluding the presiding officer. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Acting Secretary. We will therefore now commence with the voting. We will commence with vote 1, the Office of the Premier. Those in support of programs 1, 2, 3. I will then go party by party. I will then ask firstly from the IFP.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Greeting to yourself and all present. The IFP supports program 1, 2, and 3. Thank you.
Thank you so much. ANC.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. The ANC support.
DA.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. The Democratic Alliance is in support.
Thank you so much. EFF. Please note that the EFF is not present on the platform, and we'll move on to NFP.
Hlonishwa Somlomo, egameni le-National Freedom Party, we vote in support of the bill.
Awushingo.
Noma kunini.
Sing.
Honorable members, we will move on to the MK. May it please be noted that the MK is not present in the platform. Members, I have the votes of all parties. Is there any member who wishes to express an individual vote that is different from their party vote or to abstain? Honorable Mahlaba?
No, sorry, hey, it's pressed by mistake here.
Thank you so much, Honorable Mahlaba. We will then move on. I take it there is none. Acting Secretary, can I please have a tally of the votes? We will not do 5 minutes.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Madam Speaker. The voting results are as follows. Votes in favor, 40. Vote against, 0. Abstentions, nil. Thank you so much, Madam Speaker.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, honorable members. Votes in favor, 40. Votes against, nil. Abstentions, nil. It is recorded that the programs are therefore supported. Honorable members, for the sake of expediency, for the remainder of the programs and the votes, I will simply ask if there's any party that wishes to vote differently on how they have just voted. I trust that all is okay with the parties. May I check with the parties present if that is okay?
That's okay, Madam Chair.
IFP, ANC.
Yes, Madam Chair, we support that.
DA.
It's okay.
Madam Speaker, we are in agreement.
NFP.
I agree, Speaker.
Thank you so much. Those in support of vote 1 as a whole, is there any party that wishes to vote differently to how they have just voted? Is there any further member that wishes to vote individually or to abstain? If not, then it will be recorded that the voting results are the same as those programs in vote 1. It is recorded that vote 1 is supported. We will move on to vote 2, provincial legislature. Those in support of programs 1 and 2. Is there any party that wishes to vote differently in how they have voted previously? Is there any further member that wishes to vote individually or to abstain? If not, then it will be recorded that the voting results are the same as those in programs 1. Therefore, it was recorded that the programs are then supported. Those in support of vote 2 as a whole, is there any party that wishes to vote differently on how they have just voted? Is there any member that wishes to vote individually or to abstain? If not, then it will be recorded that the voting results are the same as was for the programs in vote 1. It is recorded that the vote is supported. Vote 3, agriculture, rural development. Those in support of programs 1, 2, and 3. Is there any party that wishes to vote differently to how they have just voted? Is there any further? Is it further any member that wishes to vote individually or to abstain? If not, then it will be recorded that the voting results are the same as it was for programs in vote 1. Those in support of vote 3 as a whole, is there any party that wishes to vote differently as to how they have just voted? Is there further any member that wishes to vote individually or to abstain? If not, then it will be recorded that the voting results are the same as it was for programs in vote 1. It is recorded that the vote is supported. We move on to vote 4, economic development, tourism, and environmental affairs. Those in support of programs 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Is there any party that wishes to vote differently in how they have just voted? Is there further any member that wishes to vote individually or to abstain? If not, then it will be recorded that the voting results are the same as it was in programs for vote 1. It is recorded that the programs are supported. Those in support of vote 4 as a whole, is there any party that wishes to vote differently on how they have just voted? Is there further any member that wishes to vote individually or to abstain? If not, then it will be recorded that the voting results are the same as was for the programs in vote 1. It is recorded that the vote is supported. We move on to vote 5, education. Those in support of programs 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Is there a party that wishes to vote differently to how they have just voted? Is there further any member that wishes to vote individually or to abstain? If not, then it will be recorded that the voting results are the same as was for the programs in vote 1. Those in support of vote 5 as a whole, is there any party that wishes to vote differently to how they have just voted? Is there further any member that wishes to vote individually or to abstain? If not, then it will be recorded that the voting results are the same as it was for programs in vote 1. It is recorded that the vote is supported as a whole. We move on to vote 6, provincial treasury. Those in support of programs 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Is there any party that wishes to vote differently to how they have just voted? Is there further any member that wishes to vote individually or to abstain? If not, it is therefore recorded that the voting results are the same as was for programs in vote 1. It is recorded that the programs are supported. Those in support of vote 6 as a whole, is there any party that wishes to vote differently on how they have just voted? Is there further any member that wishes to vote differently or to abstain? If not, it will be recorded that the voting results are the same as was for programs in vote 1. It is recorded that the vote is supported as a whole. We move on to vote 7, health. Those in support of programs 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, and 8. Is there any party that wishes to vote differently to how they have just voted? Is there further any member who wishes to vote individually or to abstain? If not, then it will be recorded that the voting results are the same as was for programs in vote 1. Those in support of vote 7 as a whole, is there any party that wishes to vote differently to how they have just voted? Is there further any member that wishes to vote individually or to abstain? If not, then it will be recorded that the voting results are the same as was for programs in vote 1. It is recorded that the vote is supported as a whole. We move on to vote 8, human settlements. Those in support of programs 1, 2, 3, and 4. Is there any party that wishes to vote differently to how they have just voted? Is there any member that wishes to vote individually or to abstain? If not, then it will be recorded that the voting results as the same as was for programs in vote 1. It is recorded that the programs and the vote is supported. Those in support of vote 8 as a whole, is there any party that wishes to vote differently to how they've just voted? Is there further any member that wishes to vote individually or to abstain? If not, then it will be recorded that the voting results are the same as was for programs in vote 1. It is recorded that the vote is supported. Next, honorable members, is vote 9, community safety and liaison. Those in support of programs 1 and 2. Is there any party that wishes to vote differently to how they've just voted? Is there further any member that wishes to vote individually or to abstain? If not, then it will be recorded that the voting results are the same as was for programs in vote 1. It is recorded that the programs are supported. Those in support of vote 9 as a whole, is there any party that wishes to vote differently in how they have just voted? Is there further any member that wishes to vote individually or to abstain? If not, then it will be recorded that the voting results are the same as was for programs in vote 1. It's therefore recorded that the vote is supported. Next is vote 10, sports, arts, and culture. Those in support of programs 1, 2, 3, and 4. Is there any party that wishes to vote differently to how they have just voted? Is there further any member that wishes to vote individually or to abstain? If not, then it will be recorded that voting results are the same as it was for programs in vote 1. It is recorded that the programs are supported. Those in support of vote 10 as a whole, is there any party that wishes to vote differently to how they have just voted? Is there further any member that wishes to vote individually or to abstain? If not, then it is recorded that the voting results are the same as was for programs in vote 1. Therefore, it was recorded that the vote is supported. Next vote is vote 11, cooperative governance and traditional affairs. Those in support of programs 1, 2, 3, and 4. Is there any party that wishes to vote differently to how they have just voted? Is there further any member that wishes to vote individually or to abstain? If not, then it will be recorded that the voting results are the same as it was for programs in vote 1. Those in support of vote 11 as a whole, is there any party that wishes to vote differently to how they've just voted? Is there further any member that wishes to vote individually or to abstain? If not, then it will be recorded that the voting results are the same as it was for programs in vote 1. It is therefore recorded that the vote is supported. Next vote is vote 12, transport. Those in support of programs 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Is there any party that wishes to vote differently to how they have just voted? Is there any member that wishes to vote individually or to abstain? If not, then it will be recorded that the voting results are the same as it was for programs in vote 1. It is recorded that the programs are supported. Those in support of vote 12 as a whole, is there any party that wishes to vote differently to how they have just voted? Is there any further member that wishes to vote individually or to abstain? If not, then it will be recorded that the voting results are the same as it was for the programs in vote 1. Therefore, recorded that the vote is supported. Next vote is vote 13, social development. Those in support of programs 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Is there any party that wishes to vote differently to how they have just voted? Is there any member that wishes to vote individually or to abstain? If not, then it'll be recorded that the voting results are the same as it was for programs in vote 1. It is recorded that the programs are supported. Those in support of vote 13 as a whole, is there any member that wishes to vote differently to how they have just voted? Is there any member that wishes to vote individually or to abstain? If not, then it'll be recorded that the voting results are the same as was the programs in vote 1. It is recorded that the vote is supported. Last vote, vote 14, public works. Those in support of programs 1, 2, and 3. Is there any party that wishes to vote differently to how they've just voted? Is there any member that wishes to vote individually or to abstain? If not, then it'll be recorded that the voting results are the same as it was for programs in vote 1. Those in support of vote 14 as a whole, is there any member that wishes to vote differently to how they have just voted? Is there any member that wishes to vote individually or to abstain? If not, then it will be recorded that the voting results are the same as was for the programs in vote 1. It is recorded that the vote is supported. Honorable members, that concludes voting on the programs and the votes. We will now be voting on the schedule and on the bill itself. I will then put the question to the schedule and of the bill. Those in support of the schedule of the KwaZulu-Natal Adjustments Appropriation Bill 2025 and the bill itself. I will now go party by party. IFP.
Thank you. The IFP supports.
ANC.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. The ANC supports the bill.
DA.
Madam Deputy Speaker, the Democratic Alliance is in support.
EFF. Please note EFF is not on the platform. NFP.
Honorable Speaker, the NFP supports.
Thank you. Members, I have the votes for all the parties. Is there any member that wishes to express an individual vote that is different from their party vote or to abstain? There is no hands. Therefore, I'll ask Acting Secretary, please to tally the votes.
Madam Speaker, the voting results are as follows. Votes in favor, 40. Votes against, 0. Abstentions, 0. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Acting Secretary. I therefore formally declare the results of the vote as follows. Votes in favor, 40. Votes against, 0. Abstentions, no. It is recorded that the KwaZulu-Natal Adjustments Appropriation Bill 2025 as a whole, ladies and gentlemen, is supported and therefore concludes the voting on the bill. Secretary, please can you read out for record purposes?
KwaZulu-Natal Adjustments Appropriation Bill 2025.
Thank you so much. I will then put the question if parties would like an opportunity to state the reasons for their vote in terms of Rule 91. Each party is allowed an opportunity not exceeding 3 minutes to state the reasons why the party is in favor or is against the bill, or any party, therefore, that wishes to state otherwise. I will start with the IFP.
We are fine, Madam Speaker.
ANC.
No, Madam Speaker, I think the ANC we are fine as ANC.
Thank you. DA?
Is so finally. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
EFF, can we note that the EFF is not on the platform? NFP?
Thank you, Speaker. We've already stated our reasons. KZN must be at work to respond to the needs of the people. Thank you.
Thank you. MK, please may it be recorded that MK is not on the platform. Therefore, honorable members, the item on the order paper concerning the KwaZulu-Natal Adjustments Appropriation Bill 2025 is therefore concluded. Thank you so much, honorable members, for your participation in today's debate and the passing of the Adjustment Appropriation Bill 2025. Therefore, honorable members, that brings us to the end of the order paper and the end of our sitting. Honorable members, our meeting is therefore adjourned. May you have a good day until we see each other in person next time. The meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
Order, Madam Speaker.
Shalom.